Holy Spirit. Good morning.
Good morning.
Outstanding. I'm reminded of my favorite Latin proverb, Victoria amat cura, which translates roughly as victory favors the prepared. This drive for survival, the need to survive, is so visceral, so primal and ingrained, that we will head towards and we will hoard whatever it is that we believe represents that survival to us, even if it is demonstrably false. In what does life consist? Christ tells us that life does not consist in having an abundance of material possessions, and to illustrate that point, he gives us a parable of this rich man, who to many of us, we would consider him very, very responsible. We would say that he is a good steward of the material blessings that he has received. For having an excess of good things, he puts it in savings. What will I do with all of my grain and all of my things? I will tear down my barns. I will build larger ones. And I will store what I have. I will take my ease and say to my soul, relax, eat, drink, be merry. And the same God who tells us that if a man so much as calls his brother a fool, he is in danger of hellfire, that God calls this man a fool. He says, you fool, tonight your life will be required. To whom will all of your possessions go? And I can't help but be reminded in that moment of this show that at least was on TV called Hoarders, where families would make intervention for their loved ones caught in this awful affliction of hoarding, this compulsion to constantly store up and keep over and over, not letting go of anything, bound by this absolute terror of lack and necessity. Each hoarded item, an icon and an image of pretended false security. And underneath all the piles of refuse and the stacks of paper, there would often be mold and vermin and insects. Because even on a physical level, hoarding up breeds death. And we, for our part, are no better. Do we not hoard? Do we not hoard up our old resentments and our anger? Can we not hold on to these things forever? Do we not have our many compulsive thoughts and ideas stacked up, causing clutter in our minds and our hearts, and poisoning all else around us in our relationships? And each of these things that we don't let go of is an icon and an image of our truest and deepest fear. Losing my agenda, not getting my way. For the language that Christ uses to speak about us. He says, behold, I am the vine, and you are the branches. Abide in me, and you will bear much fruit. It is the language of service. It is the language of meeting the needs of the other. Dare I say, it is the language of discipleship. And it is easy to get on board with the idea that the spiritual life involves struggle and difficulty. It is easy to get on board with the idea that we are the co-laborers with God. But it is much harder to get on board with the idea that ultimately this world, this life, this parish doesn't belong to me. It belongs to Jesus. That the struggle to find God, the struggle against hopelessness, does not ultimately depend on me coming up finally with the perfect scheme to obtain my will over and against all other circumstance. But rather, Christ teaches that there is no circumstance, no matter how awful. There is no place in all of creation, not even death itself, where that he does not fill and where God cannot be found. The scandal of hoarding. The scandal of hoarding is a refusal of our vocation, our calling, to imitate that most generous God, who gives good things to both the righteous and the unjust, simply because he has the power to do so. The same God who uses the metaphor of marriage to speak about our relationship with him and says right there in the wedding service, "Fill their homes, O Lord, with wheat, wine, and oil, and an abundance of every good thing, so that having an abundance, they may give to those who are in need." The scandal of hoarding is a refusal to serve. It is a statement of belief. I believe that that which I am storing up and keeping is of greater value than your well-being. It says, I believe that that which I am hoarding and keeping to myself will provide me a greater security than Jesus Christ. And I believe that that which I will not let go of is necessary for my survival. So I will not let go. I will not serve. Look then to what you poured up in your life and in your mind at the expense of service to your neighbor. Look at what you hoard up at the expense of prayer. Look at these things of which you will not let go at the very cost and expense of a clean conscience. For that which we hoard up and keep reveals where our faith truly lies, no matter what else we say in liturgy. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Amen.